They always said I'm wrong, but what they doing today? I think they want me gone, but I ain't going away. They told me I was wrong, but look at my ass today. Da 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 da.
What up, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Real Sports Talk Raw Recap. I am your host, Denton, the pro wrestling analyst of the Real Sports Talk. This is the Raw right after SummerSlam, hot off the heels of the 25th anniversary of Summer's biggest event. And we started off the night with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman coming out to the ring and pretty much boasting for 10 straight minutes. That's all they did. They just talked about how Brock Lesnar is the best, how he defeated the WWE Universe by defeating Triple H, and they called out the referee Scott Armstrong to congratulate him on the, the effort he put in refereeing the match. And then towards the end, Brock Lesnar was crowned the new King of Kings by Paul Heyman, which essentially means nothing other than Paul Heyman. That's what Paul Heyman is going to call him. And he also called him something like the Master of the Brocktagon. Obviously, Octagon is from UFC, and Brock Lesnar, just combining the names. And they pretty much did that and boasted for 10 minutes to open the show. Then we had a match between Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, and Sin Cara versus Cody Rhodes and the Primetime Players. The match itself, it wasn't anything too spectacular, but the fact that they had the Primetime Players and Kofi Kingston and R-Truth in a match together is what really benefits and almost adds a little bit more prestige to the tag team division. That's something that they've been focusing on for, it seems like, a while now, ever since the Primetime Players have really come into their own and everybody's starting to realize that these kids actually have some talent. WWE's taken advantage and they're starting to utilize them and other tag teams around the WWE like Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex, the Usos, Primo and Epico. They're starting to utilize them a little bit more than they normally would, like this time last year, and adding more prestige back to the tag team division, which has been one of the weakest divisions for the past couple years, ever since DX left and Legacy broke up. Another match we had was Randy Orton versus Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio came out complaining, wanting another match after the events of SummerSlam. He was cheated on by Sheamus after he used a shoe, and Del Rio's foot was on the ropes and Sheamus knocked it off before the ref seen to get the win. So he came out and AJ announced that he'd be facing Randy Orton, and the match itself was actually pretty solid, but towards the end of the match, Randy Orton was getting pinned and he put his foot on the rope and the referee didn't see it, and Sheamus, who was sitting at ringside, decided to come in and let the referee know that his foot was on the rope, which is ironic because that's the same thing that he didn't do last night. And that obviously got Del Rio a little fired up. He started jawing. Sheamus turned around, ran into an RKO, and Randy Orton was able to pick up the win. And then after the match a little bit, Randy Orton started jawing a little bit with Sheamus. So hopefully we can discard Del Rio from this World Heavyweight title scene and put Randy Orton back as the bad guy and have him face off against Sheamus, which looked like was going to happen before Randy Orton was suspended 2 months ago. The other match, or one of the other matches that we had tonight, was another tag team match between Kane and Zack Ryder versus Daniel Bryan and The Miz. The match itself ended in no contest after Daniel Bryan slapped Kane like he did last night at SummerSlam, and as soon as he slapped Kane, Daniel Bryan bolted out of the ring and ran out of the stadium itself. The Miz also was at ringside after he and Daniel Bryan hit him, so he left. And it was just Kane and Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder ended up getting choke slammed. The timekeeper, Kane assaulted him as well. And then Zack Ryder also got hit with a tombstone pile driver. So the match was no contest, and Zack Ryder took an ass whooping from his own teammate. And there was one other match, but I'm going to get to that a little bit later on. So we're going to finish off with the closing part of the episode, which was CM Punk naming his new #1 contender. He came out and he announced earlier that it was going to be John Cena under one condition. So he came out and he started talking to Jerry Lawler, asking for an apology. And when I say asking, I mean demanding for an apology to show him, CM Punk, some respect. And before Jerry Lawler could get to apologize, John Cena came out, and John Cena and CM Punk kind of jawed with each other. Obviously, CM Punk is the best on the mic in the WWE, but I feel like in this day and scenario that John Cena actually held his own a little bit, and he described how he was not going to call CM Punk the best in the world, which was the one condition that he would need to be the WWE champion, but he pretty much wanted to tell him the ultimate sign, or to gain respect you have to earn respect, and the ultimate way to earn respect is to beat John Cena in his hometown at Night of Champions, because Night of Champions will be in John Cena's hometown in somewhere around Massachusetts. So CM Punk, he didn't really say anything after that. John Cena sort of just left, and then CM Punk asked Jerry Lawler to come back in the ring. Jerry Lawler apologized, but he wouldn't call him the best in the world, and he ended up getting kicked in the head, and that was the end of the show. But there was one other match on the card, and that was a SummerSlam rematch between Chris Jericho and Dolph Ziggler. It was a contract versus contract match. If Dolph Ziggler won, Chris Jericho's contract would be terminated, and he would leave the WWE. And if Chris Jericho won, he would acquire Dolph Ziggler's Money in the Bank contract. So the match itself was the best match of the night, obviously. It was one of the best matches at SummerSlam, so the two have some chemistry in the ring. And one good thing about it was clean. There was no interference from Vicky Guerrero or anyone else. It was a clean match between the two competitors. And unfortunately, Chris Jericho did not come out victorious. Dolph Ziggler pinned him with a zigzag, and Chris Jericho is now gone from the WWE. But after the match, he did give Dolph Ziggler a little bit of a goodbye, hitting him with a briefcase and a code breaker, and then he left. Now, once this match was announced on Monday Night Raw, me personally, I knew Ziggler was going to win. One, because I know Chris Jericho's contract is up, and he's going to tour with his band Fozzy. That's not to say he may not return maybe towards WrestleMania, but for now, we definitely will see Chris Jericho with a little bit of time off to tour. I believe that him and Fozzy are touring through Europe, but I'm not positive about that. And the fact that Dolph Ziggler lost last night was a complete waste. They should have had him win last night and just get that whole thing settled. Then just make Dolph Ziggler look stronger. But they decided to go this route, which I was perfectly okay with. But, you know, I wish Chris Jericho the best of luck with his band, Fozzy. I'm a big fan of them. They produce some great music. If you have never heard them, feel free to check them out. So that was pretty much it for the whole show. So the show was obviously highlighted by the final two events, the CM Punk John Cena thing and the Dolph Ziggler Chris Jericho match, and that was pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Real Sports Talk Raw Recap. Remember to follow the Real Sports Talk on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week.
Just a little bit around the corner from fear. Be there by next year, where I'm going.